This North London Derby was an interesting one because over the years, over the last couple of years, when Tottenham was relatively doing much better than Arsenal was doing, but even then, we could always almost count on us beating them at home, even when they were better than us, right? So I remember a couple of years when they were up there in the league at home, you can still beat Tottenham because there's always something about the derby that gives us that edge to we
That's
have
right.
that spark to us. This year was an interesting one because both teams are unbeaten. Well, technically still are unbeaten. They were unbeaten going into the derby, and Arsenal fans. It was an interesting one for me because I had this weird feeling, like I wasn't. If anyone who knows me well enough, I'm very guarded about my emotions when it comes to some of these games and derbies. And something was just funny in me that was like, we were playing okay. They're also unbeaten. But I just had a feeling that we were not going to get the result we wanted in the derby this today. Not necessarily, and it's ironically kind of played out the way that it was meant to play, in that sense. So I see a lot of Arsenal fans who were all excited, like, oh yeah, we're going to smash Tottenham, and then I also saw some Tottenham fans who also, oh, we're going to smash Arsenal because they weren't beaten. But there was just something that both teams just kind of nullified each other. Essentially, is the sort of long story short. We can get into the details of the game, but generally, I just think Arsenal. It didn't have the same derby intensity that it's had over the years for me, and then also I can even see it on the field. It was a very interesting one for me, and Ange, the manager for Tottenham, Postecoglou, was actually very smart. Towards the end of the game, again, we can get into the details, but he took off two of his most dangerous players, I think. And I think because in his mind, he was here to get the 2 points, get the point at Arsenal, and that's a good result. So he's a bit more pragmatic. Whereas other derbies, you would have seen him leave his two main guys up front, and then there would have been a winner between Arsenal or Tottenham in today's games.
Arsenal were nullified entirely. Spurs looked very dangerous on they kind of baited Arsenal, countered, and then at times they pushed Arsenal back
Hmm.
before the changes. Like in the last 15, 20 minutes, there was a time in that game when Spurs pushed Arsenal and were the ones passing, and Arsenal were countering at home.
Yeah.
Before the changes, then they sat back, and then they also did that a few times because there were times when Romero stepped up and what's his name? Come on, how can I forget his name? The striker, Nketiah.
Okay. Yeah.
Nketiah
Yeah.
was literally on the halfway line. So
Yeah.
I think for an away game, for his first London derby, puts Angie. I'll
It's
call him
called
Angie.
Angie. It's called Angie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Angie did very well. You know, that was not really pragmatic in the sense that he didn't play for a draw. Really, he played with the cards they had. Because if he didn't pull out those two guys, I think they were running out of steam. Arsenal might have scored. Weirdly,
Yeah.
because Arsenal were also
Good point.
dangerous.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So yeah, sorry to cut you off. Say when I meant pragmatic, I meant towards the end of the game. Oh, I do
Yeah,
agree with you because, like I said, if you had left them on, they were creating chances where there would have been a winner in the game. It could have either
yeah.
been Arsenal or it could have been Tottenham
It
if
could have been- yeah, it
Song
was.
or Madison stayed on. So
That's
I think
right.
he was like, all right, we've done our job here, and then let's just hold it. Let's not get too emotional. And again, I'm not here to to sort of um, take away from them, but also I think I want to focus more on Arsenal. I think that performance. There was a couple of things that bothered me about that performance, and I think to begin with, again, not taking away from Spurs,
No.
they came to do their job, and then they
Mhm.
took the game to us. No fear, props to them, kudos to them there. But Arsenal, I think there's a couple of mistakes that Arteta made. One was the starting lineup. I was like, it was kind of mitigating circumstances because Martinelli's injured, Trossard's injured. Who do you bring out left? Okay, Eddie had been doing okay, so okay, starting with those two, fair enough. I don't necessarily think I personally have issues with that. Some people might hindsight say, okay, well, they should have done something different. I think starting generally was okay. But I think it was just managing the game. And again, even with that starting lineup, that's when we had those chances. There's the one that Eddie had in the first half. There's the one that Jesus, because we were pressing and forcing them into mistakes at the back. The fullback was on a yellow card, which I don't know why Saka didn't continue to push him. Both their center midfielders were on yellow cards in the first half. So again, as you know in football, you have three of the main guys who were stopping you. I don't know why we didn't continue pushing for them. in that, and then we didn't finish those chances, right? And then the second half came, and as soon as Rice got injured, every Arsenal fan was just like, okay, well, because Declan Rice being just he's so solid there. He's there to cover up. He's there covering up, in case of mistakes from the back, or maybe Saka loses the ball, so Saka could have a little bit of freedom. So as soon as Declan Rice went off, I knew it was going to turn into a back and forth transition game with Spurs, which you never want to do against Spurs. That's the last thing you want to do against Spurs, because ironically, Spurs are actually one of the better teams at doing that. And lo and behold, that's what it turned into. But we got a chance to score the first goal with the free kick, so the penalty in the first half. So I'm thinking, okay, that's 2-1, settle down. It's going to be a back and forth, but let's just breathe. And literally 45 seconds later, they're scoring down the back end, and that just and Jorginho, which that really annoyed me, because I think that was an individual mistake by Jorginho. Even given all been said with Tottenham and Arsenal, he dwelled on the ball way too long, and then obviously you turn over the ball, and there wasn't even pressure initially, but he held on the ball so long, then the pressure, and then with Madison and Son, you put yourself in 2-2, and then at that point we're trying to do this kind of transition, and then so we had to also be careful about how we navigated that. And then his subs that Teta made as well were very, very shocking. Somebody said, I guess Jesus wasn't quite
Yeah.
fit enough to play the
Yeah.
whole 90, because
Mhm.
that's the only explanation I have for having Eddie stay on. Eddie had probably one of the worst games he's had in his
So let's
Arsenal
go to
career.
kudos and donkeys of the week.
Okay.
So you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. So honestly, for the week, it was interesting that my initial donkey of the week was I was going to give it to Chelsea just for continuing the trajectory of what's been happening the last 3 weeks. But honestly, I'm going to give it to Sheffield United. I don't care. It's the Premier League. You cannot lose at home 8-0. I know Newcastle gets streaky when they're scoring, but I'm sorry. You're all professionals playing the Premier League. You can't be allowing a team, and this is coming from an Arsenal fan with the Man U back then. Yes, I was annoyed then, but I don't even think that was at home.
No, that
Battered
was
eight
away.
nothing at home. Exactly. Again, no, yeah, you can't be battered 8-0 at home. Sorry, donkey of the
Yeah.
day, Sheffield United. I know the bar of expectations is generally lower, but at the very least, don't get beat 8-0 at home.
No,
So
the
yeah,
expectations were lower, but the manager's job was on the line. There were rumors that Chris, the former manager, Chris, I forgot his last name. Gee. Yeah, Chris,
uh,
he's waiting in line. The
yeah,
rumors
yeah. Okay,
about that
so
before
maybe
the
they sold the game, maybe it's the
maybe the
players.
players
I
don't
don't know.
want him. I don't know, cause but his job
Man,
he might not be there on Monday. That's how bad
yeah.
it is over there. Then you got any kudos?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, kudos. I think I kind of hinted earlier. I think for the week, I'll have to give it to Newcastle. I know. And the reason initially, again, I was probably if Arsenal had won this week, I might have been tempted to give it to them for our return to Champions League. Very triumphant return and all that. But I would say Newcastle again for the similar reasons. They're back in the Champions League, and yes, they got battered, but hey, no one expected them to be there, so to speak. But they walked out of Milan with 1 point, and they came here and they beat Sheffield United 8-0 at home. So for that reason, for this week, I would give the kudos of the week to Newcastle.
Okay. My donkey of the week is Rodri. Like I don't know how I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how you can do that. What were you thinking? It's the same thing like if you had butted the guy, that kind of stuff they do or pushed him. But it really looked bad, especially since he was mad. There wasn't even a case of like you said earlier, you can contextualize it for um Casemiro because it turned out he wasn't really even mad with the guy. He was just
Mm-hmm.
was trying to calm things down. But this guy was really incensed, and you grab the guy by the throat. The ref is right there. That was bound to happen. Uh, they're gonna miss him. I think he's the best player in the position, and for them especially, Calvin Phillips is not it. Is not. He's not at that level. He's not even close to it. But Pep being Pep,
Yep.
he might have been thinking about this situation in the past, so he might be trying. There might be something coming up. My kudos of the week goes to Johnny Evans, back from the dead. Ooh, Johnny Evans scored a goal that was, you know, chalked up, but that was a
Oh
good
yeah, yeah.
goal. He got a Franz Beckenbauer assist or Pelo assist, so you could, you get the gist. Or Zebi assist, Zabi Alonso assist, and then of course Bruno helps him finish it like Van Basten. That was, ooh.
Oof, that goal, man. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but not just about that. Like I said, he almost got a goal. He created a goal and went 100% on the other side. He stopped, I think, two goals. I'm sure of one, but I think he blocked the other one. That he blocked a guy from shooting the ball when he got fouled.
Mm,
Onana smothered that ball. He stopped that guy from getting a clear shot, and there was an interception, a perfect interception he had in that game. He also got fouled there. So that's what Manchester United needed at the moment. From as a Manchester United fan, I think he had a. I think honorable mentions should go to Medri. Medri had a great game, but
mm,
kudos of the week is definitely Johnny Evans. Um, Son did very well, two good goals in a derby. I give him second for this week, but I'll be biased and say it was Johnny Evans' weekend.